It's a lovely good evening. Welcome to Camnet Television News. My name is Jeffrey Zambo. Our top stories in the news tonight. Citizens First President KALABA challenges embassies to speak against bad governance. ECZ nullifies examination results for over 9,000 candidates. President Hakainde Hichilema and his French counterpart Macron discuss Zambia's debt restructuring program. In international news, prices of basic commodities go up as fighting escalates in Sudan. And in sports news, BWALYA to coach CHIPOLOPOLO legends against Barcelona legends.
For immediate coverage of any breaking or latest news in Zambia and around the world on Camnet Television, call the numbers on your screen. Television, bringing to your screens fair news, impartial news, credible and reliable news all the time. Get the whole truth on Camnet World News. Television, not just another channel.
Hello once again, another news in detail. Residents of Garden Compound in Lusaka have called on the Ministry of Health to consider conducting free testing for typhoid in the community due to prevalent suspected cases. Speaking to Camnet News, one of the residents, Veronica Lessa, says the community has been plagued by diarrhea diseases which have been suspected to be typhoid, stating that a number of them have tested positive at Chipata Clinic. She, however, notes that testing for the disease is costing 100 kwacha at the public facility, which many cannot afford, adding that many of those who have tested positive are being given prescriptions to buy the medicine from pharmacies. More in this report.
Unplanned settlements in Zambia have always been known as epic centers for waterborne diseases like typhoid, mainly owing to contaminated water sources like shallow wells, which end up mixing with effluents from pit latrines. Sewer and water leakages in such places are also common, a problem attributed to a high population which strains the available infrastructure, meaning that not even water from taps or water kiosks is always safe. These residents of Lusaka's Garden Compound have been plagued with suspected typhoid cases for the past few weeks, with residents now calling for free mass testing as they feel overwhelmed, adding that they are being charged 100 kwacha to test for typhoid at Chipata Clinic. Shapa manzi mene mkumwanya bwanji.
Yamina yakuke. Kanza kumanzi na bana bakadwa tikimisa mahala ku clinic tosa ukatizafa. So boma chitandizeko. 100 kwa jelo kosi nyodula futi yakuti ulipendrama ofera tupamenea.
They have also called for hospitals to be stocked with medicine for the same, stating that they are only being given prescriptions.
Typhoid yachibuta ola de sebana anadola ko babidi ine pano ni gurisa pata palodi but na bloka kampaka bana kutanga drama kugula nkwala yo utwanire mbera clinic ngo drama ukufa baneba mazalanje flight nachogoshika kamba kwa sababu drama nazo ndame ndo apini sila na drama utwande bakira ma drip inaso bana mwali atinashika pa flight goma tandi zileko pache cheve jibana ndipo bayoyo manzi ati kuma nyama atana madoti sama ngese kwa singatape manzi enango kulibe ngati banda mama drip chizanga ulibe manzi kwa nitatosa grab ma drip tose nsewo butika tipen drama boma tandi zileko.
Going forward, the residents have called for long-lasting solutions to the problem of water contamination in the community and similar settlements. Zipora Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
The Examination Council of Zambia, ECZ, has nullified results for 9,497 candidates who sat for the 2022 General Certificate of Education examination due to malpractices. ECZ Executive Director Dr. Michael Chilala says a total of 385 individuals and 69 horse center examination malpractice cases were reported during the 2022 GCEA examination, and that out of the reported cases, 334 individuals and 67 horse centers had their results nullified. Dr. Chilala also says a total of 24 names of teachers who were suspected to have been involved in examination malpractice during the 2022 GCE and Grade 9 external examinations were submitted to the Ministry of Education for the disciplinary process to commence. More in this report.
In an effort to curb examination malpractices, the Examination Council of Zambia has nullified results for 9,497 candidates who sat for the 2022 General Certificate of Education examinations, which comprised a total of 385 individuals and 69 host center examinations. ECZ Executive Director Dr. Michael Chilala, who addressed the media in Lusaka Wednesday morning, says the over 9,000 candidates have had their results nullified due to examination malpractices and says some of those affected will not be allowed to write exams for 2 years.
The total number of affected candidates whose results were nullified during the GCE examination last year is 9,497. Further, of the 67 more centers which were involved in examination malpractices, 11 had their examination center status suspended for 2 years as they were involved in more than one time.
Meanwhile, a total of 24 teachers who were named in the malpractices have had their names submitted to the Ministry of Education, where they will be dealt with in accordance with the law.
GCE and Grade 9 external examinations, a total of 24 names of teachers who were suspected to have been involved in the examination malpractices were reported to the Ministry for disciplinary action.
Meanwhile, a total of 706 candidates who sat for the 2022 school certificate level have had their results suspended due to malpractices.
At junior secondary school leaving level or Grade 9 internal level, a total of 944 candidates had their results nullified. During the 2022 school certificate examination, a total of 41 individual and 16 whole center cases were reported. Out of the reported cases, results were nullified for 39 individual and 15 whole center cases, involving a total of 706 candidates. There is a formal way in which to appeal, and the matters will be considered appropriate.
Meanwhile, Dr. Chilala has advised all those who feel aggrieved by the decision to nullify their results to write to the center, and that they will have their cases dealt with in the shortest possible time. On the other hand, the center has seen a significant increase in the number of female candidates entering to write examinations, a sign that a girl child has become determined to complete her education. Prudence Chota, reporting for Camnet TV News.
United Party for National Development, UPND Secretary General Batuke Imenda, says the Tazara railway line is a reminder of the long-existing relationship between Zambia and China, which needs to be maintained. Speaking at the Tazara Memorial Museum in Lusaka's Silvers area, where some Chinese delegates and UPND members were reflecting on the Zambia-China relationship, Mr. Imenda says the railway line shows the commitment of both Zambians and the Chinese people, who were ready to lose their lives to ensure its completion for the future of Zambia. The Tazara Railway links the port of Dar es Salaam in East Tanzania with the town of Kapirimposhi in Zambia's central province. More in this report.
As the ruling United Party for National Development, UPND, is trying to cement its relationship with various countries around the world, Party Secretary General Batuke Imenda joined Chinese delegates In touring the Tazara Memorial Museum in Lusaka Silverest area, which stands as a reminder of both Zambians and Chinese who lost their lives during the construction of the historic railway line. Officially opened in 1975 and based on a mutual agreement among the Zambia, Chinese, and Tanzanian governments, the railway line covers a span of 1,860 kilometers and is operated by the Tanzania-Zambia Railway Authority, Tazara. Memories of those who labor to ensure its successful construction, both Zambian and Chinese, to the extent of losing their lives due to various circumstances, including dying on duty, are embedded in this vast museum in Lusaka Silverest area, and their bones now lay here. Speaking after the laying of wreaths in memory of the departed, UPND Secretary General Batuke Imenda states that this is evidence that the Zambia-China relationship has been in existence for many years.
It is a symbol of strong relationship between China and Zambia, which relationship shall forever create a beacon of true brotherhood between the two countries. Never has Zambia experienced such a sacrifice as that of the Chinese people who were ready to lose their lives in a tour of duty. Our meeting here is a clear testimony that their lives have not been lost in vain. It is for this strong relationship that Zambia has remained home for the departed Chinese brothers who lost their lives while they dedicated their efforts to constructing a railway line for the present and the future Zambia.
Meanwhile, China's Civil Engineering Construction Corporation Director and African Bureau of International Department Central Committee Director also had a word.
During its construction, tens of thousands of Chinese engineers, technicians, and workers worked tirelessly for years in harsh environments and overcame various difficulties to finally complete the railway.
毛泽东主席和卡夫达总统等老一辈领导人共同缔造。
The friendship between China and Zambia was built by our generations of leaders, Chairman Mao Zedong and President Kaunda.
在那个民族解放运动风起云涌的年代，也曾长期饱受殖民主义束缚的中国人民，在自身极其困难的情况下，援建台赞铁路。
In the years of national liberations and independence struggle, the Chinese people, who have also suffered a long time under colonialism, have overcome our own difficulties.
The two governments affirmed continued good working relations. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
The opposition Citizens First Party has challenged civil society organizations and the diplomatic community in Zambia to break the silence against alleged bad governance by the United Party for National Development (UPND) government. Party President Harry KALABA told a press conference that if embassies are maintaining their mute, it means they are beneficiaries of what he termed as a shrinking space in the country. Mr. KALABA has opposed government's intentions to sell VX vehicles as a cost-saving measure, saying the president must start by cutting on his trips. But UPND National Trustee Grace Chivube has accused Mr. KALABA of deliberately ignoring the good things President Hakainde Hichilema has done so far.
The opposition Citizens First Party, Wednesday 10th May 2023, held a press conference to give its perspective on how the United Party for National Development (UPND) has been governing the country. Party President Harry KALABA pointed out a wide range of issues with an overall opinion suggesting that President Hakainde Hichilema and his administration are misfiring and that the democratic space is shrinking. He accused the UPND of being amateurs and puppets of the West and that they are making less efforts to engage China on the debt situation. And Mr. KALABA further accused the diplomatic community accredited to Zambia and non-governmental organizations of being mute amidst the alleged bad governance being exhibited by the UPND administration.
I want to therefore call upon the embassies that took time to raise issues under the previous regime to start doing the same under the current regime, unless otherwise they stand to benefit from the current situation that is being orchestrated. Otherwise, we request that they use the same yardstick on the UPND government as they have used on previous governments, if they are to retain their respect as equitable partners.
The opposition leaders also challenged President Hichilema to declare his assets.
As Citizens First, we are concerned with the president's lack of transparency that has manifested itself with his continued refusal to declare his assets, in line with the tenets of good governance. It is our founded view that in so doing, he has created an opportunity to amass illicit wealth without anyone questioning how he amassed that wealth. It is important that as head of state, he learns to lead by example. And that shows people that he stands for transparency, rather than just talking the talk.
And Mr. KALABA has opposed the government's intention to sell VX vehicles for senior government officials,
who in the first place authorized the procurement of the ministerial vehicles, and what the justification of selling them off and thereby allowing the country to lose hard-earned taxpayers' money. Our view is that if the president is serious about saving costs, he should consider cutting down on his international trips. After all, it is highly unlikely that the MOUs he's been signing will yield results in the remaining 38 months of his term.
But UPND National Trustee Grace Chivube has accused Mr. KALABA of deliberately ignoring the good things President Hichilema has done.
Are you sure about KALABA? You are comparing 1 year, 7 months, and 10 years. This is what you are comparing. And Chilefu need to compare 1 year, 7 months by UPND instead of 5 years. Now for Lusepantu, Mukampeni yenu malipanga lositamu apanga po MP. Ushaku PF malipete freedom we mulera dalelo bani. Malipete freedom wakalabanga mulera nda mutishinga chakwalesa. Amiletera HH uye omule itati na amacha. Tulefo yoku mona amacha ni yani. Instead ya kutitafe mwalisa ati bantu bamishi batu mulera nda pa TV muliba amacha mufine musambile kuliba HH and your heart ilepya tamule ufu bwino okumona okutilati na kwisa chirumendo ule kontrola bwino evintu.
Patrick Soko, Camnet News.
Civil rights activist Brebna Changala says the continued obsession of the United Party for National Development UPND administration with the deregistration of the former ruling Patriotic Front Party is painting the UPND government in a bad light. In an interview, Mr. Changala has questioned why Director Spokesperson at the Ministry of Information and Media, Tabo Kawana, is the one giving updates on the status of the PF's deregistration as opposed to the information coming from the Registrar of Societies. The civil rights activist states that such sentiments coming from a civil servant is giving an impression that the UPND has taken the same path as that which was taken by the PF of what he has termed as abuse of public office. On Tuesday, Director Spokesperson at the Ministry of Information and Media, Tabo Kawana, told members of the press that the PF could be deregistered as its 7-day ultimatum in which it was to present a complete list of office bearers has elapsed without it complying.
Tabo Kawana is all over talking about the Patriotic Front, and I know the PF, when they come into public, they say it's dead. But PF is giving them sleepless nights. Tabo Kawana is being used, but what is saddening is being abused. The Registrar of Society is not anchored in Tabo Kawana's office. And yet Tabo Kawana is on real time on the deregistration of the Patriotic Front. He's got more data on the challenges of the Patriotic Front than the Registrar of Society. This gives me problem. The excitement that this political party must be deregistered has become a manifesto of the UPND. And they are sending Tabo Kawana as an attack dog. My advice is, Kawana, can you know where you are coming from and tone down? If Patriotic Front has got issues, that's not your party.
In a related development, Director spokesperson in the Ministry of Information and Media, Tabo Kawana, has dispelled sentiment that he has been storming radio stations without permission to interrupt guests from the opposition appearing on programs. Earlier, the Zambia Institute of Independent Media Alliance, ZIMA, accused Kawana of storming studios during live debates. But Mr. Kawana claims he had sought permission from the owners of radio stations, further stating that no one complained as they agreed that he features to give government's position. Mr. Kawana says days when people could tell lies in order to make the new Dawn government unpopular are over, and all lies will be met with the full force of factual information. Mr. Kawana joined PF presidential hopeful Emmanuel Mwamba on Lusaka Music Radio, where he said government has a duty of providing factual information to the citizens. He said there is nothing confrontational in challenging the lies, as this provides the Zambian people with an opportunity to hear both sides of the story at the same time and make their own sound judgment. Mr. Mwamba on the program had alleged that the UPND government is behind maneuvers to deregister the PF, when in fact the party has failed to comply with the Registrar of Societies in submitting necessary documentation for its office bearers. And Mr. Mwamba acknowledged that the party is experiencing some administrative challenges in having some of its office bearers cleared, hence putting it in an awkward position with the Registrar of Societies.
This is what happens when, as a media house, you attach yourself to political interests and political parties. I think that ZIMA body would have come out to protect the interest of the media houses who would have complained that we or I have stormed in the media houses. But when there are people telling lies on the TV station, and I alert them, what that person is saying, and I ask permission to join me so that we can both tell the people the true side of the story and their side of the story, and the people can judge. So let them go and ask if Diamond TV has any complaint against me having so-called stormed. They have none, because they allowed me to go there before I went there. Go and ask the radio station today in Lusaka. If they have any complaint against me, there's none, because I asked them, and that is why you saw even the management young lady receiving me at the door, because they were expecting me. They told me, please come through, sir. So there's no storming. So now you have got a media organization like ZIMA rushing to issue such a useless statement, and they have no facts, because their facts should be that the media house has complained. So who are they talking for, if not for the PF? So I want to take the opportunity to urge all these, what are referred to as quack media organizations, that they should learn to do the right thing. Media ethics demand that you balance your story. So before they issued that statement, which was an emotional statement by their chairperson, Wilson Pondamali, they would have taken an opportunity to call the radio station and ask them, did you permit this man to come or not? Call Diamond TV and ask them, did you permit this man to come or not? If they did that simple fact check, they would have not issued such a useless statement.
And in news from the courts, former Lusaka Province Minister Bowman Lusambo's sister-in-law, Patience Manasseh, has been found with a case to answer by the Lusaka Magistrate Court for forging a school certificate and uttering false documents. Delivering the ruling Wednesday morning, Magistrate Irene Wishimanga said she was satisfied with evidence from the prosecution witnesses. In this case, Manasseh, 29, is facing 7 counts of forgery and uttering false documents, contrary to Section 344 and 352 of the Penal Code, Chapter 87 of the Laws of Zambia. More in this report.
The subordinate court in Lusaka has ruled that the state has established a prima facie case against Patience Manasseh, the sister-in-law of former Lusaka Province Minister Bowman Lusambo. Delivering ruling Wednesday morning on case or no case to answer, Magistrate Irene Wishimanga, who is handling a case, said she was satisfied with the evidence from the prosecution witnesses, subsequently placing the accused on a defense. When the court explained to the accused the three options she had in defending herself, Manasseh opted to speak on oath. Patience Manasseh, who is accused of forging a school certificate and uttering a false document, has also informed the Lusaka Magistrate Court that she will call two witnesses to testify in her favor. In this case, Manasseh, 29, has been slapped with 7 different charges, among them making a document without authority, uttering a false document, and obtaining pecuniary advantage by false pretenses. According to court records, Ms. Manasseh, who is believed to be a student, is alleged to have forged a school certificate and allegedly used it to gain a self-employment at ZESCO between 2016 and 2019 as an assistant call center agent and an assistant customer care officer, and did obtain pecuniary advantage in form of salaries and allowances amounting to 429,972 kwacha 68 ngwe. In the other count, the accused allegedly uttered the said forged grade 12 school certificate to the University of Zambia. The charge of obtaining pecuniary advantage by false pretenses that the state accuses her of is contrary to Section 309A of the Penal Code, Chapter 87 of the Laws of Zambia, while the charge of making a document without authority is contrary to Section 356 and uttering a false document is contrary to Section 352. The matter comes up on the 19th of June, 2023. Miriam Kaimba, reporting for Camnet TV News.
The Lusaka Magistrate Court has warned opposition outspoken politician Raphael Nakachinda to avoid any appearances in media until he recovers. The directive by the court came after the accused made an application to have his matter adjourned because he had developed an acute headache. Mr. Nakachinda, who is also the chairperson of Information and Publicity for the Opposition Patriotic Front, was set to open his defense this morning, Wednesday, the 10th of May, 2023. This is in a matter in which Mr. Nakachinda is accused of defaming Republican President Hakainde Hichilema in 2021. Here's a report.
The Lusaka's Magistrate Court has directed outspoken politician Raphael Nakachinda to restrain himself from making public appearances until he recovers from his sickness. The directive by the court came after the accused made an application to have his matter adjourned because he had developed an acute headache. Mr. Nakachinda is also the chairperson of Information and Publicity for the Opposition Patriotic Front, was set to open his defense this morning, Wednesday, the 10th of May 2023. At the previous court session, Mr. Nakachinda was found with a case to answer after the prosecution team established a prima facie case against him. When the matter was called, the accused indicated that he had developed a headache and could not manage to exculpate himself. However, the state argued that Mr. Nakachinda must not claim to have acute headache without producing a medical report. Magistrate Irene Wishimanga reluctantly adjourned the case, putting into account that it was the first time such an application was being made by Mr. Nakachinda. She, however, warned him to avoid appearances in any media until he recovers. The accused has been dragged to court on allegation that he defamed President Hakainde Hichilema in December 2021. Mr. Nakachinda is alleged to have, on the 13th of December 2021, accused the head of state of summoning judges at his residence in order to compel them to frustrate PF legal battles. The case has been adjourned to the 19th of May 2023 for opening of Mr. Nakachinda's defense. Miriam Kaimba, reporting for Camnet TV News.
Governance activist Isaac Mwanza and Maurice Makalu have urged the Constitutional Court to determine their petition on merit so as to protect constitutional principles and values. This is in a case in which the duo have petitioned the Constitutional Court to annul the recommendations and eventual appointment of 20 judges of the Superior Courts as notified by the State House because their appointment was in a contravention of the Constitution. In their skeleton argument, Mr. Mwanza and Makalu contend that the court needs to provide redress against the alleged contravention of the Constitution and bring clarity to provisions of the Constitution. They have submitted that the process to select and recommend the 20 judges of the Superior Courts for appointment was done in contravention of the principles of the Constitution that required merit, adequate and equal opportunities for appointments. You're watching Camnet Television News. We take our first break. Join us for more news after the break.
In our quest to serve nations and develop Africa, Savenda is investing in the agriculture sector so as to produce supply for both local and international markets, housing over 12,000 pullets that are nurtured and fed with our locally made stock feed that comes from our own locally grown maize and soya beans, all processed from our recently installed milling and mixing plant. Our over 95,000 layers have an output capacity of over 1,500 trays of fresh eggs per day that are carefully selected and packaged for all the leading stores and supermarkets nationwide. Our greenhouses are fitted with the latest irrigation system, and the seedlings are nurtured to ensure only healthy plants reach the fields. With our deliberate planting schedule, we are better placed to supply constantly without interruption, thus reliable. Savenda Farms is also changing lives of its dedicated workforce drawn from the local community and beyond. So the next time you think fresh and green, think Savenda Farms.
Your skin is the biggest muscle in your body. That's why we make sure that Oracle is #1 when it comes to taking care of your precious skin. Oracle Pure Petroleum Jelly and Glycerin soothes, moisturizes and keeps your skin perfect. Oracle Pure Petroleum products for that perfect skin.
For immediate coverage of any breaking or latest news in Zambia and around the world on Camnet Television, call the numbers on your screen. Camnet Television, bringing to your screens fair news, impartial news, credible and reliable news all the time. Get the whole truth on Camnet World News. Camnet Television, not just another channel.
Welcome back. We'll continue with the news. President Hakainde Hichilema and his French counterpart, President Emmanuel Macron, Wednesday held a meeting discussing the debt restructuring program for Zambia in the French capital, Paris. President Hichilema expressed happiness with President Macron's commitment and suggested that Zambia's debt restructuring program should conclusively be dealt with before the June summit for a new global financial pact. He reiterated that France will work together with all creditors to ensure that the debt restructuring is done. And the head of state emphasized the importance of closing debt talks and asked France to use its role to leverage the Paris Club of Creditors Committee and the G20 to ensure the speedy resolution of the debt restructuring. He called on both France and China to jointly tackle the debt restructuring program with the utmost speed. President Hichilema also had the opportunity to lobby investments to Zambia and strengthen bilateral cooperation in areas of infrastructure, defense, technology, biodiversity, tourism, and the environment. Minister of Community Development Doreen Mwamba says they are in the process of digitalizing the social cash transfer program in order to eliminate accusations that officials from the ministry have been stealing from the beneficiaries. The minister has named the old-aged and persons living with disabilities as being notorious in accusing the ministry of theft, forgetting that the third parties they have employed to collect their resources are the ones stealing from them. She says the digitalization process will be concluded by June 2023 and that the United Party for National Development has since taking over office been paying all the over 1 million beneficiaries on the program. Meanwhile, Minister of Youth, Sport and Art Elvis Nkandu says his administration is providing skills training to youth and teaching them on mindset change to enable them become self-sufficient and not relying on handouts, as was the case in the previous administration.
Digitalize everything before the end of June. Why are we going digital, especially on social cash transfer? So that even the Minister of Information, when a question comes up, she will just log in and see who has received and who hasn't, where social cash transfer has been paid and who. And also this will eliminate the accusations that and the most notorious category are the older persons with disabilities. Why? Because mostly they have nominated proxies, a third party, to be collecting their money. And normally they send their children, and these children lie to them. Next month. That is a lie.
And this, my sister here, community development, we have a program called Community Scholarship Program. This community scholarship program is where we are getting even those that have passed in 2 subjects, 3 subjects. We are enrolling them, and each year we are enrolling 5,000 just to assist the Minister of Education. So if people are saying that we only give the bursaries or free education up to grade 12, no. So those that want to go to school, and we have also targeted vulnerable families who may not have the capacity to take their children to tertiary education. We've targeted them.
Minister of Green Economy and Environment, Engineer Collins Nzovu, says in addressing climate change, his government has been working on formulating a national adaptation plan with support from the Green Climate Fund. Engineer Nzovu, who spoke during the official opening of the locally led adaptation learning workshop in Lusaka, says the National Adaptation Plan, which is building on the National Adaptation Program of 2007, will provide the country with long-term adaptation options in the most critical sectors. The minister says government is at the tail end of concluding the plan within this year, and that he has no doubt that stakeholders have participated in the process.
We want to participate in these global events because it's only a global effect which can manage the negative effects of climate change. So I encourage all of you here, and by the way, before I encourage you, there's another thing World Vision said. They said there has to be a mindset change. Adaptation means that there are new conditions in which we need to live. It's no longer business as usual. The climatic conditions have changed. How do we survive in this new world order?
We are working together with government partners, other NGOs, and the community to adopt sustainable ecosystem and nature-based solutions. It is for this reason that we have organized this learning event to share knowledge and learning on locally led adaptation to climate change and strengthen CARE and its partners' capacity to respond to critical issues that have had an impact on community livelihoods and ecosystems.
You're watching Camnet Television and the main news. We'll take a second and final break. Join us for international sports news.
For immediate coverage of any breaking or latest news in Zambia and around the world on Camnet Television, call the numbers on your screen. Camnet Television bringing to your screens fair news, impartial news, credible and reliable news all the time. Get the whole truth on Camnet World News. Television, not just another channel.
Welcome back. And in international news, the cost of commodities and services has shot up in Sudan as fighting escalates in the country. According to the United Nations Humanitarian Agency, the price of basic commodities such as fuel, food staples and water has gone up by 60% or more due to supply challenges resulting from the clashes in Khartoum and other parts of Sudan. This is a new setback to Sudan's stagnant economy. Shortages of main goods such as flour and vegetables have been reported in the capital, along with unprecedented price hikes. Khartoum is a business hub for most industries and services. Factories are located in parts of the city where intense fighting is happening. Some of them have been looted. For more in international news, here's a roundup.
The cost of commodities and services has shot up in Sudan as fighting escalates in the Horn of Africa nation. The price of basic commodities such as fuel, food staples and water has gone up by 60% or more due to supply challenges resulting from the clashes in Khartoum and other parts of Sudan, according to the UN Humanitarian Agency. We were here before the event and we had not loaded our truck yet. We saw the security situation in the country is unstable, so we decided to wait. The ongoing conflict has closed out trade flows to and from Sudan, and the main ports have altered operations, a harsh and biting situation for workers in the transport sector. What we live as those responsible for the transportation of goods is not hidden from anyone. All people are unemployed in the light of the war, and we in the transport sector suffer greatly because we have drivers who have become semi-unemployed and they have families and expenses. Sudan is an important exporter of gum arabic, gold, sesame, peanut and livestock, but the economy has been held back by decades of sanctions and international isolation.
Sudan, therefore, has been a battlefield between the military and the paramilitary RSF, the Rapid Support Forces, since the conflict began, and on April 16, fighting erupted between armed men in Yala, the state's capital. The war between Sudan's generals is having increasingly severe consequences for civilians. As the people of Nyala city, we have been affected by a war that we have nothing to do with. As a result of this war, Sudan has been damaged, and the Sudanese people have been affected in ways that we're not even aware of. Generals are fighting for power, while the Sudanese people are suffering and displaced. The conflict has led to a fire that ripped through the city's main market, destroying stalls and merchandise. On April 16, at 5 a.m., an incident occurred. The firefighters were present near the market but did not come to extinguish the fire. Up to this moment, the fire is still burning, and we do not understand what is happening. People have been severely affected. Several citizens who were shopping at the market, including a vendor who keeps shedding tears when he sees the market in this condition. He has also been affected. More than 700,000 people are now internally displaced by battles since April 15, according to the International Organization for Migration.
The President of the Democratic Republic of Congo kicked off a state visit to Botswana on Tuesday. Felix Tshisekedi's inaugural visit should see him and his counterpart Mokgweetsi Masisi explore new opportunities to deepen bilateral cooperation and discuss continental integration. The DRC's embassy to Botswana was inaugurated on that occasion. The visit came one day after a special summit of the Southern African Development Community SADC. The 16-member group, which includes DRC and Botswana, agreed to deploy forces to help quell violence in the eastern DRC. Speaking in Gaborone, DRC's president confirmed his country would prepare the coming of SADC troops. He also criticized troops of the East African community already deployed in his country.
It's now time for sports news. In our sports news tonight, Zambian football icon BWALYA has been unveiled as coach of the CHIPOLOPOLO Legends in an exhibition match against Barcelona Legends. Sports Minister Elvis Nkando said the match slated for May 25th will market Zambia as a key tourism and investment destination. Nkando called on private entities in the country to take center stage in supporting the organizing of the match that will be played to mark Africa Freedom Day. The minister was speaking when he addressed journalists during a joint press briefing with King of Africa sports officials and Ministry of Tourism in Lusaka. Today, Nkando said the funds that will be raised from the tournament will be used towards the development of sports infrastructure in the country. He explained that public benefit organizations will provide tax exemptions and increased access to resources. And Barcelona legends Albert Lopez said he has already inspected the facilities at the National Hero Stadium and other facilities to be used by FC Barcelona Legends team, which he said is ready for the game. And Zambian Legends team coach BWALYA said Zambia is a football-loving nation which is driven by a winning mentality. To end Camnet Television main news, the headlines once again. Harry KALABA challenges embassies to speak against bad governance. ECZ nullifies examination results for over 9,000 candidates. President Hakainde Hichilema and his French counterpart Macron discuss Zambia's debt restructuring program. In international news, prices of basic commodities go up as fighting escalates in Sudan. And in sports news, BWALYA to coach CHIPOLOPOLO Legends against Barcelona Legends. Our Camnet verse of the day is coming from Hebrews 13 verse 5. Keep your lives free from the love of money and be content with what you have, because God has said, never will I leave you, never will I forsake you. Thank you once again for watching Camnet Television Main News. I'm Jeffrey Ziambo. Good night.